Hey, Status Steve, please like and subscribe. Please click on the Deck Heroes icon. Click on subscribe. It's 100% free. Blood in, blood out. And also don't forget to click on the notifications just so you don't miss any amazing content. We're going to do another review of Dr. John. I myself also have a degree in psychology and a master's in economics. I've listened to the first kind of 22 seconds. I've got the gist. Well, you'll see. Let's play.
I know.
What's up?
My question would be, how do I forgive and move forward after my wife and one of my best friends had over a year-long affair behind my back? And the second part, is it even possible for me to move forward?
Tell me about it.
Well, feel free to stop or interrupt me because there's so much that goes into this. I can get ranting, but
do this for me. Because
long story short,
hold on. Based on what you just said, I'm all about the rant. I get it. I want to rant for you.
Okay.
It's easy to get dragged down in the mud on these deals. I want you to practice just with me, stand above it and looking down as far as you can on it. Okay?
Okay.
Give me the high level. And this isn't for like good radio. This is for you to be able to begin to talk about this without getting dragged underwater by it. Because every time you go underwater, you get emotional, you act crazy. Either I'm going to let her back in or she's never coming back or oh, my friend. Let's practice staying way up here on this one.
Okay.
Okay? So tell me what happened.
In
as few sentences as you can.
Okay. Last August, I got on her laptop and found that she had been on a paternity test website. Our daughter just turned 1. Had been on a paternity test website and questioned her about it and ended up finding out it was one of my best friends who was also my boss.
Whoa!
He was in our wedding. I left my previous job for him.
What do you do?
I'm a firefighter.
Does that guy still have his job?
Let's just say he left.
Good.
After that.
The research is pretty clear that somebody that cheats on their wife, lacks that type of integrity at home, also lacks that type of integrity at work.
Yeah, and this is an ongoing thing for him.
Yeah, and you're a firefighter. I don't want a piece of crap like that out making sure my community is safe because that sucker's going to cut corners and some innocent bystander's going to die because that person lacks the deepest roots of character.
You're 100% right.
Yeah, I definitely empathize with the caller, but I think we're reaching a little bit too far now. Yeah, in terms of his relationships, he lacks fidelity. Okay, so let's think about the other people in the world just very quickly who lack fidelity. What about Bill Clinton? Did he achieve nothing in his career? Basically, I think we're reaching a little bit too far, but we definitely emphasize that.
You're 100% right.
Good, man. I hope that dude's like grooming dogs or something right now where he can't hurt anybody. All right, so...
Yeah, the hard part about that, too, was... So we actually found out she was pregnant a few months before we got married. We were already engaged. It just kind of happened.
It didn't just kind of happen.
To that. Well, we know how it happened. So we've been together. We're high school sweethearts. She's always had really strong Christian values. And out of nowhere, the night we found out, they flipped like 8 months before our wedding. And it was really bizarre. And I didn't understand why. Like she started using things like, I'm going to do what I want to do. Like comments like that, like regardless of what I think. And so when she found out she was pregnant, she had told me she wanted an abortion.
Okay.
And it was really hard on me, obviously, of trying to be like, please, don't do this. Like, this is our baby. Like, you will regret it.
Is that because she thought it was somebody else's baby?
Yeah, which I didn't know, and she didn't tell me.
Okay.
So that was before our wedding. He was in our wedding. She had started the affair with him, and I didn't find out until over a year later, and had continued every now and then with him through then.
How long have you been married?
A year and a half.
How old are you?
I'll be 25 in a few months.
Yeah. This girl broke your heart, man.
Yeah.
And she gave you the best thing of all time too. At the same time, that little kid, right?
Wow. Okay, let's do a very quick summary. He's got a wife, been married about 1.5 years. He's 25 years old. When he was engaged, his wife slept with his best friend, who's also his boss, who's now left the company. She got pregnant, the wife, obviously, and she says she probably suspected it wasn't his, which is interesting, as she's so sure. But that's why she was doing this paternity test. Maybe she went through with that paternity test, and then she was pushing for the A word, you know what I mean, in order for that right to choose. Of course, the caller didn't know that it wasn't his child, so he's kind of pushing back, like, what you doing? And say all this suspicion or whatever else led him to the laptop, which led him to this point. It's absolutely awful, obviously, and It's interesting why he's calling in to save that marriage. I mean, in terms of the integrity of this man, in that even after all of that, he's still thinking, about, the family unit maybe, or whatever, I mean, or just holding on, as I say, to that marriage. It's just, he's like a saint, basically. And anyway, let's go forwards.
Yeah.
That messes with your mind up, right?
Bad.
Yeah. I'm sorry, man. The only way that this marriage can survive, can it? Yes, it can. Is it going to be hard? Yeah. You're a firefighter. You're not scared of hard things. The only way it survives is y'all completely control, alt, delete everything you knew about your marriage, and you start completely over. And both of y'all are all in. And what does that mean? The fact that you called and said, I looked at her laptop. My wife and I just have laptops. Several, actually. I guess she has her phone and my phone, but we both know the codes to each other. Like, it starts there.
Yeah.
You don't have secret stuff, and I don't have secret stuff. We're just going to build a unified structure here. Right? You wouldn't put up with that kind of logic in the firehouse, right? You wouldn't have like, I'm just going to prep this however I want. You can't, because someone will die. Same applies in your marriage. Would she do that?
You mean, would she be willing to
Control, alt, delete, start over, open up finances, share finances, open up electronics, cut off all contact with other people, and just go fully in?
Before we go into this, is a very good suggestions, but I say in this situation, I always think, rightly or wrongly, of the wise. She's only been married for a year and a half, so why go through with the marriage? You know what I mean? If she wants to sleep with somebody else and she doesn't want to be with him, then be with somebody else. You know what I mean? And I'm thinking about whether his old boss and his ex-best friend, maybe he was married or something like that. There's possibly a reason why they were. Unless it was just the naughty thing, you know what I mean? But maybe there's a reason why the best friend wasn't more prominent in her life. And I say I'm not trying to give her a pass. As I say, I'm just trying to understand. But yeah, like John's saying, I think if it is going to go forwards, then maybe they have to, as he said, press a reset. Basically, forgive everything up to that point and decide whether they're going to continue or not, and then try and continue as best as.
Building a marriage that will last forever.
Well, I mean, to add the other extra layer to the situation. So that was like the night that I found out, I went up to the firehouse. Me and him worked different shifts, and I confronted him. And I came back, and the first thing I said was, here's what I need if we're going to fix this. And that was one of the things. And she genuinely tried for a few weeks, and then it just stopped. And I will say, like, I'm a pursuer, and she's, like, definitely a withdrawer. Like, she shuts down. And so she shut down, and that lasted until the end of December, and we separated.
Okay.
But this is, I when we separated, it's with the hope that, like, maybe something will change and get better. And I do see flashes of that at times. And then there's really high highs, really high lows. I grew up with a mom with BPD, and I see a lot of the similar traits in her.
Again, before we go into that, we need to know whether it's savable. I'm just thinking back to everything that we know to now, and especially about the hope of pressing reset. We need to know why. If she's fundamentally dissatisfied, and again, I'm not giving her a pass, if she's opted out of the relationship, there's nothing to save. If she's fundamentally dissatisfied with something, rightly or wrongly, that needs to be addressed in order for things not to revert back to where they are. You know what I mean? And he did say that she did give it a try for a couple of weeks, and then she kind of, withdrew. That says a lot. But again, as I say, you can't skip past the reasons why. And I say, in terms of sensitivity, maybe now is not the time to address it with him. And he's obviously going to be emotionally involved, rightly so. And we do empathise with him, of course. But in terms of solutions, we need to know the reasons why. Let's go forward.
And I genuinely believe that, like, a lot of this is caused by the mental illness. And my vows meant something to me. And
she broke your vows,
regardless
brother.
of what she did.
She broke your vows. I know your vows meant something to you, but she broke them. You're hanging onto a ski rope, and she cut the rope, dude. And you're still trying to ski, and you're bobbing in the middle of the water, and the boat is gone.
Yeah.
So
I'm just hanging on to something that I wish was there.
That's exactly right. That's when I tell you got to build something new. You got to build something completely new. And by the way, I really lately have you stepped in it. You didn't even mean to, so I'm not going to direct this at you. I'm kind of over I'm a maximizer, I'm a builder, I'm a pursuer, I'm a whatever. Like, I don't care. Like, I am a podcasting, YouTube, and radio personality. That's on my job description here at my office. I also will go out and pick up trash outside if we have a bunch of guests coming. Because when things get, when you need to pull together as a team, you move chairs together. You just do what you got to do, right? And so I don't care if I'm a withdrawer, I'm a pursuer. Dude, my marriage is about over. I'll do whatever I have to do.
Yeah.
If it's uncomfortable, I don't care, right? So it's like, I'm just going to do my withdrawal game. No, dude, we don't have time for games. You're about to be a single mom, and I'm about to be a single dad. And I don't want that for us. I want that for my baby. But yes, you are holding on to something that no longer exists. The question is not, can you get it back? You cannot. It is over. The question is, can y'all build something new? And I think you can, but it takes both of you.
And she goes through one day, she doesn't think there's a chance that she would ever want to be with me again. And then the next, she acts completely otherwise.
All right, here's what I'm going to tell you. You have self-diagnosed her, and you are looking at her through a lens of some sort of mental health diagnostic. Don't do that to her. It's not fair. What you have to do is to ask yourself, because here's what it does. It also gives you a pass. It helps you not look at reality.
Again, sometimes no, John, no. and I'm not just totally disagreeing with it, just different perspectives on the same thing. All right, cool. So he said that sometimes she acts like she's going to buy in and she wants to be with him, and sometimes she acts like she doesn't even want to be in the relationship at all, which goes back to what I said. If there's a fundamental flaw in the relationship, and I guess we are going into that kind of relationship counselling kind of area, but of course we're in a situation where one of the parties is one person in that union has had an affair. So of course we've got to have anything, it's got to be some kind of relationship counselling. We need to know the whys. You know what I mean? At the moment we are all about empathising with him, and I totally understand, and it's only so much time in the show, but anyway, to completely quickly skip past it, it's not for me. But anyway, we'll go forward.
And you've probably heard me say this a million times on the show. If behavior is a language, what is she telling you? I don't want to be with you.
Yeah.
Occasionally I'll hook up with you. Occasionally when we come see the baby, or when she comes to visit the baby, or you go to visit the kid, you'll have some laughs. You grab a drink. Maybe she's made dinner, and it just feels like it would feel good, but it's not real. Is that true or false? Tell me if I'm wrong, man. I'd love to be wrong here.
Very true.
Okay.
I can't stand those leading inferences. Honestly, I can't stand those leading inferences. Yeah, does she do this? Does she do it? And the whole weight of pressure is pushing him to either kind of confess or just deliver what's known as a false truth. You know what I mean? Like in police question, yeah, I know you did it. So if you put this straw man together, I'm not saying it's necessarily a straw man because it's probably likely to be true, but you can't lead somebody to an answer really, or you shouldn't do. Just leave it open and let them answer, and then you get something which is probably more truthful. Let's go.
The only thing I think left to do is to sit down and say, I need us to be adults, and let's say we're going to go all in. And I've done my work to say, here's what all in means, or let's call it. Because right now you're both drowning in the maybe. And maybe there needs to be some.
But he's saying about all in, so I'm sorry to keep stopping it, but I have to because it's an important point. When he says the all in, he's really saying, well, are you going to put all cards on the table, be up front, I guess maybe buy into the relationship or not? But they said that it's interesting that the one thing that he just keeps on not mentioning is try counselling. He's a psychologist. I'm a psychologist. Try counselling. And see if you can get to what I'm saying before, the root of the actual problems from her point of view. And maybe it's solvable, maybe it's not. If you get a professional which kind of tries to take you as close to making it solvable as possible, and you want to be in that relationship, and obviously he does, because despite everything, he's on his phone show trying to get some advice. And this is the question, is he getting any advice towards that desired goal, or is the advice kind of taking that marriage towards conclusion, or some kind of, I don't know, not ultimatum. But you've got to do that groundwork first. So yeah, ultimatum's fine. Groundwork first. Probably counselling. That's what I would do.
Just gray mush for a while, but it doesn't seem to be effective. That's why I like separations, like to have a date and a time and a location where we're going to reconnect. What we're going to talk about when we get there. Like that separation's got a purpose, and that's just to let the fire burn out in the house because things got too hot.
Yeah, and it's been 4 months.
Has she seen somebody else that you know of?
I asked her yesterday. She says no. But
you can't believe
again,
that. Yeah.
No, I don't trust her.
Yeah.
Wow, married for a year and a half, not seeing each other for 4 months and a separation. That's why a separation is never even usually a good idea, I don't think. Sometimes it's absolutely necessary to have that kind of space in order to breathe and kind of see where you're at on something. But like what happened here, the longer that kind of trial separation goes on, the more that you're used to not being together. And maybe he's not even getting to see his kid. So let's think this through, because the likely outcome is that the mothers stay with the child. She, being the wife, cheated on him, and the result is that he doesn't get to see his kid. What's going on with that? Doesn't make any sense. And over those 4 months or 5 months, whatever he said just now, what's the odds that now she's got her house free and a baby who doesn't really know what's going on? Anyway, 4 months in that flat on her own or the house, whatever, who do you reckon she might have invited round, for a little bit of emotional support? Naughty emotional support? Oh my gosh, brother, no, none of this is good. But anyway, let's go on.
Would you go see somebody with you?
So we went to counseling. She actually, like the day after I found out, scheduled us an appointment with a lady, and we went together like 3 times. And this lady and I kind of butted heads. It was a lot of, like, I would make the comment of how, like, I felt if I can't trust her with her phone, as far as if I just asked to do something on it, and she was very skittish about it. Pretty much the counselor told me that I have no right to even ask that. And
it's nonsense. Nonsense. Never walk in that lady's office again. It's bullcrap.
Well, I stopped.
There is something about, I'm going to let them talk honestly, but there's something about implied bias. Brother, listen, if you cheated on her and she got a female counsellor, you know what I mean? Absolutely fine. That's absolutely fine. I don't want to read too much into this, but I'm going to say it anyway. I'm a psychologist as well. I'm entitled to my point of view. But she cheated on you. You are entitled to a male counsellor, somebody who's going to get where the hell you're coming from. Because the fact that you can't even raise any points and your kind of opinion, your feelings are completely discounted, the logic of it doesn't follow. You're not the one that cheated on her. And you're getting shut down and say your opinion doesn't matter. No, man. As John said, you need to find somebody else. And I would advise that it's a male.
From pretty much the 3rd or 4th appointment, she said we should want to start doing separate, and I didn't do that with her.
That's absolutely nonsensical.
She still goes to her, but I feel like the lady almost justifies it. Like, I think it's doing more harm than good.
Here's the deal. You're spending a lot of time in your wife's head, and you're making up stories about why she's doing something, what it's doing, how it's. I wouldn't do that. Judge the actual action in front of you. Okay. It doesn't matter what she's doing. It doesn't matter where she's for us to say.
It does matter. It does matter. Shall I tell you why it matters, John? It matters, and I know where you're saying from, if it was over, but he's in the middle of it. It does matter, because he needs to conceptualize why his life, when he got married, when he met this person he wanted to spend the rest of his life with, and when he actually went down the aisle and married somebody, and when he had a child, all those things solidify a road. And he knew where his life was going to end, and it's going to end with her and maybe some kids, or at least one child and maybe some more, who knows. Hopefully in a life of prosperity. And now his life has gone left. And that's the reason. That's the reason why he wants answers. He needs to know why. And he didn't get those answers, sadly, in that counselling, because, again, any point he put forwards was invalidated and just shot down. So your advice about don't go to that counsellor again, 100% right. But he needs to know some of the reasons why. Now, if he's never going to get the answers from her, or never going to get a truthful answer, at best, he has to kind of reflect on the answers that he already knows. What he said earlier, that some of the time she's bought in and some of the time she's bought out. She's been gone for 5 months. Is she beating down his door to say sorry? She's the one that cheated on him. And if she's not, and if she's not really trying, and you know what I mean, she's just kind of echoing what the counsellor's saying when it's in her favour, instead of backing him up. Where's that empathy for him? Knowing that she's in the wrong. No, counsellor. To be fair to the guy, he's got a right to know. All those kind of things hasn't been mentioned. But to rewind it back to the start, of course he wants to know. And he needs to know as best as he can. And once he's resolved that he's going to get all the answers that are possible, maybe he can move on. But if he's got all these questions bubbling in his head because his life's gone left, it's still going to be there. And that's completely understandable to me.
Yeah, I need you to be completely open with electronics. If that's not something you can do, then that's cool. I'm out.
It's not. She's told me it's not.
Yeah.
I think I'm just scared because I grew up, my parents divorced when I was early in my teenage years, and I had a really bad reaction to it and grew up, I'll never do that to my child. And
so 2 things. You got to forgive yourself. You made yourself a promise that you didn't realize at a young age. It takes 2. And it sounds like you've worked your butt off to hold up your end of that rope that somebody else cut.
I'm going to take a riskier side here. It would be interesting to know the reasons why he did choose to marry this girl, whether he had any suspicions about anything going into the marriage. And basically, as I said, there's a Western romantic notion about why we go into marriage. And again, you can tick all the boxes and you can't be responsible for somebody else. And I know this. right? And that somebody else may well just do something which is really messed up, which is what happened. That aside, I live in the West. This Western notion of kind of like love, marriage for love, is not based on any kind of foundations of marriage that will endure and be basically looking at the fundamentals about why this person is right to marry. Those are going to be the interesting questions in this situation. And where you ignore those things, either she does it for him or he does it for her, that can lead to somebody being unsatisfied. And I'm not just talking about the naughty unsatisfied, just uncommitted to that long-term path. And again, that's why when I said before, I wonder why they even went over the line of marriage and then kind of come up against this hurdle so soon and be kind of, for her to be doing this naughty thing with his boss that close to their marriage, during the engagement even. Why even say yes? But anyway, again, it's like, look at those fundamentals. I'm not saying for him, I'm not blaming the speaker in any way whatsoever, but just in general, you beyond just love, and then maybe you'll have a better chance of something which is positive.
And so go back and forgive your 13-year-old self for being so pissed off at your parents because you don't really know what happened. You kind of do, but probably not. And give yourself some grace, man. You went all into the ring to fight that guy as hard as you could. You just didn't know the person that was supposed to fight with you was going to cut your knees off in front of you. Gotta give yourself some grace on that. And part 2 is be the best damn dad that ever existed to that little kid.
She's my everything.
I know she is. My daughter's mine too.
John, you're touching on another touchy subject here. I don't know about US law. I think he said be the best dad to that kid. That's presuming he's got access. He might not have even seen that kid for the last 4 or 5 months, barely. Definitely in comparison to seeing that child freely in every single day of its young life. And now it's going to be barely. And as soon as that she moves on, she could be in another state. And he's going to see you even listen. So you touched on a touchy subject here, John. That I probably would have stayed away with, all things considered, and the likely experience of many men. He needs to focus on rebuilding self and really kind of committing to that kind of counselling with a different counsellor if she's interested, and if not, focus on rebuilding self and yes, building a relationship with his daughter and making that as amicable with his wife and just discussing whether there's any potential in that. But without the counselling, I don't think there's much potential in it. Finding a nice way to say that. But definitely self, daughter, and leading on to a positive future for himself. And he could think about his achievements and his core strengths. And without, I wouldn't mention it now, but of course there will be other opportunities. A 25-year-old man, and he will rebuild. He may not think he can rebuild, but he'll rebuild in every way in his life, in his relationships, and future partnerships and things like that. So, yeah, you know what I mean.
It's 10 times harder to even deal with what she did because for 4 months I didn't even know she was mine until the results came in.
I know. She'll always be your baby girl. And we're not going to talk bad about mom because she's also half mom too. That little girl, she's not going to know a day in her life that daddy's not telling her that she loves her. And if some crappy stepdad comes in the picture, your dad's going to be right there. And if mom's not okay, dad's going to step in. And if dad's got to go to court and get everything sorted out, which you're going to need to do, then we're going to go get things done, but we're going to take care of that baby girl. Is that cool?
Yeah.
I hate this for you, man. Sounds like you tried to do right. I'm sorry.
It's been 7, 8 months now, just trying every day.
The first, I wrote this book a while back, and I couldn't figure out the first way to start it. I couldn't figure out the entry point to it, and I finally landed on a sentence, on 2 words: choose reality. And I don't know there's any sort of healing or mental or emotional or even physical health. I don't know if there's any way to get that without first being honest about the starting line. Here's how far I have to run. And I got to just at some point drop my shoulders and choose reality. The reality is my best friend in the world and boss didn't stab me in the back. He stabbed me right in the face. My wife, the mother of my baby girl, stabbed me right in the face. Right?
Yep.
That's choosing reality. That's heartbreak, dude. That's grief. That's deep grief, man. That's anger. That's rage. All of it, dude. And it's all good. It's all right. And then the question.
This is another one where we're both psychologically trained. I don't believe, I'm going to be honest with you. This is another one I'm going to split the audience. I don't necessarily agree in finding every little bit of pain and bringing it to the surface. I don't really believe in that. I think he's got to accept it for what it is. I think he's got to, so I've only got a split second to think about this, obviously. I think he's got to accept that a friendship, I don't think he should even be thinking about the other guy. I don't think he should be even thinking about the other guy, to summarize. I think he should just be thinking about whether it's fixable with his wife, and yeah, that's going to be a yes or no ultimately, and regardless of that, the relationship with his daughter, again, yeah, not think about the men and his friend, all that stuff I just wouldn't even touch. There you go.
What are you going to do next?
I think the conversation needs to be, I'll say this, there was a little bit of conflict between the two of us yesterday, and she said, she doesn't want to be with me, and if that were to change, it wouldn't be for a long time.
Cool. You need to have the courage to hear her words, and then go do what you got to do. You need to go to the courthouse. You need to get an attorney. You need to go do the next right thing.
I just feel like I'd be losing my daughter too.
No, you won't be.
Because she makes it very difficult for me already.
I know, and that's what a court order can help with. At least it'll clarify that halftime or 3/4 time or whatever, non-shift time. But you're trying to hold together a fantasy, brother. Then it's gone. It's a ghost, and that's that angst. I'll say this in a harsh way. You've already lost your daughter. Your daughter right now is tangled up in like an electric fence of chaos and tension, and I don't know who's what and where. And that's my daddy, but he doesn't live here. That's my mommy, she doesn't live here. Whew. I hate this for you, man. But it's time. You can call an attorney. You find yourself a therapist that isn't delusional. So ridiculous. Sorry, man. And begin taking the next step towards what comes next. Hang on the line. I'm going to send you that book, Building an Unanxious Life. That'll be my gift to you, man. Call anytime, brother. Call anytime.
Very, very, very interesting dilemma. And obviously there's going to be lots of people in that situation. In this instance, it's a woman cheating and breaking the vows of a marriage. And of course, there's going to be male examples out there. We're going to focus on this one. I think I do stand by everything that I said at the time in terms of counselling. Then it became known that he has already tried it. I'll get a different counsellor and just see if she's up for that. It doesn't sound like she's up for it at all at this point. I think when it comes to infidelity, I think one of the biggest problems is, I say, the whys, but also it unsettles somebody in a relationship. It unsettles both. You know what I mean? And she doesn't seem that she is invested in continuing that at all. And so soon into that marriage, it's questionable why she even went over the line anyway. And it's disgusting because she's messed your life around. And she's had this child who she didn't even know was yours. No, it's just no good news. The good news is that she's here, that she is yours. You know what I mean? And things might change with your current wife in the future, but it doesn't seem that that's the situation now. Whether you should or you shouldn't is a separate debate. But do the counselling if I was you, see if she's up for that. And if she's not, she's already said she doesn't want to be with you, and you've already not been there for a couple of months. Your worries about your child is not going to change, basically, until she's either becomes more agreeable. She's not already. She's proven that she's not over the last few months. Or, as I said, it's going to be a court order. So you've got to start focusing on getting the advice. As much free stuff you can do for yourself will save you money down the line, and avoiding you go down to jumping into traps, basically, and things like that. So your focus needs to be on your child as much as in it. Probably child first. Trying to resurrect your marriage, which I completely understand, which, you know what I mean, and being realistic about where that's likely to go, whether it can be saved. I wouldn't look into the whole situation with your ex-mate and focus on that infidelity, because that's just going to twist your mind up and send you on tangents on something which maybe can't be saved. As bad as it is, just be with the complete practicalities of all the stresses that you can manage at one time, most likely. I don't think focusing on some other man and what he was doing, friend or not, at the time of your marriage with your significant partner, that is not the conversation you want to be having rent-free in your mind. There you go, and probably go from there. And there's probably other things that'll be for your counsellor to talk about anyway. Very interesting video. It has my complete empathy. Please like, subscribe, Dennis Steve, and I am out.